This heat proof makeup is gonna literally last through anything, and it's gonna look flawless, and it's not gonna look overly heavy. So I'm starting with my skincare, and obviously if you're looking for heat proof makeup, then SPF is a must. I'm using my Dalba UV Essence Water Full SPF because this has to be one of the best SPFs I have honestly ever used. I absolutely love it because there's no white cast. By the way, I have nothing on my face, I've just washed it. This is the part where SPF goes, because I feel like this is a common question a lot of people have. Like, at what point do you apply your SPF? And one of my friends is a dermatologist, and she has given me my whole skin plan, and this is where your SPF goes. So there you go. SPF is on, nicely kind of protecting the skin. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to settle down, because by the way, that is a really important factor here, is when you're doing heat proof makeup, it's really important to let each step settle down onto the skin before you move into the next. You want it to kind of almost self-set a little bit. And when I say self-set, it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to dry, it needs to like set the way a setting powder sets. I'm talking about it just needs to, you just need to give it a minute. It's like when you're rushing, it's like, give me a minute, right? Just let me do my thing. That's basically it. So I've got my eye cream, and it is the MAC Hyper Real Serumizer Eye Cream. And I am just gonna get that on my fingers and just get that all over. Okay, I had my Botox day before yesterday, so got a tiny little bruise there, which I don't usually get, and I'm trying to be really gentle because I don't like to kind of like massage or press heavy on my skin after I've had Botox. But yeah, I'm gonna put my moisturizer on now. This is my P-Calm Keto Cream. Loving this stuff. I'm on this whole Korean flex at the moment with my skincare. The only non-Korean thing I'm using, which is like complete other end, is tretinoin. I absolutely love it. It's been a game changer for my skin. The texture is just so much better of my skin. But what I'm doing is skin cycling. So alongside that, I'm really focusing on using Korean skincare to really pamper my skin and look after it. Put the moisturizer on. Right, next step, while this is settling down, we're gonna actually set our brows. So I'm using my Urban Decay Slick Day Brow Wax, and what I'm doing here is basically putting this in the brows, like fully, really getting it into each hair there, right? And I usually flip the brush to really get it all over each hair. Do it on both sides. Now, the reason this is really important to do this at this point is because ultimately every single section of our face needs to be heat proof. So the skin, we've started prepping, we're getting that prep right. So we're making sure that everything underneath is going to be working well to make sure our skin is looked after when we put all this makeup on. Same thing for the brows. I get my Anastasia applicator brush right now, and this is where I just, it's a dual-ended applicator brush, and I just brush it up here. One of the best brow gels I've ever used, by the way, guys. And then I get the flat part. There you go, and it flattens it. So as I was saying, we're doing everything we can to ensure that every section of our face is heat proof. So when it comes to the brows, this is making it heat proof, because this brow wax is honestly one of, like, I know I keep saying it's the best one, but it really is the best brow gel I have ever used, because it stays put, it doesn't leave a white cast, and it actually like holds all day. It's like hairspray. It doesn't go all crusty or anything. I don't know how it works, but it just stays put all day. So what I do is I put this on and I flatten them with that little palette knife on the, it's not a palette knife, but you know, it's the dual-ended applicator brush palette side. I flatten it so it really stays in put. This is like super hold. So that's going to stay put now, and that also needs to dry off and like kind of set and self-set. So what we're going to do now is move on to the next step, which is applying a primer. Now a primer is really important when you want heat proof makeup, because what we want is we want that blurred effect, but we also want to kind of keep our skin matte as possible. Because if you're looking for heat proof makeup, what that ultimately means is obviously you're going to be in high heat, but secondly, you don't need the heat to have a helping hand from your natural oils in your skin, which are bound to come out. So what we want is something to kind of mattify things a little further, or just to kind of like make sure that the oil doesn't like really come through and make our skin look dewy. So you want to use a good primer that's really focusing on kind of like making sure that everything stays put. So I'm going to be using my Milk Makeup Pore Eclipse Mattifying Primer, and this is a very good primer. You only need a small amount. It's almost like this very slight pasty finish. I don't normally like pasty finish kind of primers, but this is like more of a cream gel hybrid paste finish. So what I'm doing is just applying this, smoothing this over first the cheeks, because that's where I tend to get the oil come through, and then just anywhere I feel like it gets shiny and I have some open pores, like as in enlarged pores. There you go. You can apply it everywhere if you want to. I'm just applying it on the areas that I know that I need it. Now, honestly, if you want heat-proof makeup, I would highly suggest applying all the things like blush, bronzer, contour underneath your foundation, because that foundation is then going to seal everything in. It's a really good way to keep everything kind of heat proof, but also ensure that it's a soft focus effect and it doesn't look heavy. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Another name for this is underpainting. I haven't done this for a while for you guys, so let's go for it. Now I am going to be using a liquid blush, but I don't want to be using anything which is overly glowy, because I do want it to kind of really focus on really setting on my skin. So every single product you're going to be using throughout is an individual product that works very well at self-setting itself. So when you put all of these products together, you imagine the entire base is like perfectly set. So every product is not overly dewy, not overly glowy, but we're also not going for like ultra matte, right? Because we don't want to look like completely flat. So we do want that natural kind of radiance to come through, but we don't want it to look like overly glowy or greasy or shiny, and we don't want any kind of makeup formula that is going to kind of slide around. So your formula has to be right. So because of that, I'm going to use a liquid blush that I know self-sets really well, and that is the Rare Beauty Pinch Me. Is it called Pinch Me blush? I don't know, because I cannot actually see. So this is in Joy, and this is actually one of the first things that I'm going to be using. So what I'm going to do here is just add it right up here. I don't care about this looking crazy orange, because I am going to be obviously applying layers on top, and it's going to kind of like dilute it a little bit. So let's now blend this in. I've got my Hourglass 15 brush. Now the Rare Beauty liquid blush is like crazy pigment. I've said this so many times before. It is like crazy pigment. It's just like, you only need a little bit, but we don't mind going extra right now because we are going to be underpainting, so it doesn't matter if everything looks a bit much underneath. And this isn't actually a lot of product that I've applied. You see that? It's actually a really nice blush look, isn't it? Like, imagine if we just went out like this without putting anything else on. Like, I wonder what people would say. Not that I care, I do care, but I mean, I wonder what people would say. Like, would anyone actually say anything? Like, I don't know. Some people kind of feel the need to say stuff these days. I'm good with the blush. I may even add a little bit more in a bit. So we're going to keep that aside. Now what we're going to do is contour. And I'm going to use my favorite at the moment. I absolutely love this. It is one of the best contour sticks I have ever used, above any of the others you've seen me use. This is the Dior Forever Skin Contour Stick in Tan. I absolutely love it. I love the color. Everything about it is amazing. It glides on like butter, but it doesn't kind of like, it stays put as well, really well. So yeah, I actually absolutely love this. So we are gonna contour here. So I've just gone just up there. I do a little dash here. Under the jawline. And then we're also going to do a little V on the nose. See what I mean? This contour stick is just so easy to contour with. Look at this. I mean, look at it. It's just perfect. The way that you can just, I don't know what they've managed to do, but making it oval is a game changer. Because there are other sticks that I've used, which are just so creamy. Like this stays put. This is not even messy. I've used this so many times and it doesn't get messy. Whereas other ones, especially the Makeup by Mario one that I've used, it gets really messy. As much as I love it, it's really messy and it is a little bit too much product that comes out, and it doesn't stay sharp on the edges. So I really love this. It's my favorite. So we do want a little bit actually on the forehead. I'll explain to you in a second what all this does. Okay, so I have my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brush. This area here where I've applied a contour is basically to kind of make my forehead look a bit thinner, like on the sides. But also I do feel like it adds a bit of warmth to the face, which is quite nice. This here is for a little bit of an eye lift. That's what that does. Okay. This here is obviously to give us some cheekbones, to just make it all look a bit more kind of nice and sculpted. It mixes in so well with that Rare Beauty blush. It actually looks so nice as like this two-tone colour. And then here we're going to take this underneath the jawline. Really make sure that's nicely buffed in. Flip it over, use a small brush, and then we're going to keep this in the same place. And we're just softening the line. There you go. Okay, so now at this point, we're gonna use a concealer, and the concealer is gonna be used for two things. We're gonna use it to actually highlight areas. So it's gonna really give that contour a helping hand. So it's part contour, but it's also gonna help to conceal certain areas. So this is where I wanna use a concealer, which I know is gonna stay put. This is my Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer in 3WO, so that's 3 Warm Olive. And this is a really nice concealer that stays put. It is a little bit lighter than my skin tone, but that's okay because I want it that way, because I do want it to work as a highlighter as well as a concealer. Now, what I'm gonna do first is kind of get these eyelids out of the way. So I'm gonna apply a little bit on the back of my hand, and I've got my beauty blender here. You only need a small amount of this concealer, by the way. So let's just get the eyelids out of the way. So you want a thin layer. You don't want a lot. And this is where I feel like people think creating heat-proof makeup means applying a lot of makeup. It's really not. Even what I have applied isn't actually a lot. And because it's really getting hold, like sticking onto the skin, onto the primer, this is all gonna stay put all day. Okay, so let's get our powder. I'm going to use a powder that I know I can always trust, which is my Huda Beauty Easy Bake in Banana Bread. Now I've got my Makeup by Mario Master Pro Puff, bit of powder, press it on here. You've got to press it on here if you want this to last. We're just doing the eyelids at the moment. So this is the Real Techniques brush. Let's just dust this off. Nothing on this brush. The eyelids are done now. So that part is done. We can get on with concealing and highlighting the rest of the face. So this is where we are gonna use it straight from the tube. And we're gonna apply this in very strategic areas because we wanna highlight certain areas. We've contoured, we've added a bit of blush, but now we wanna highlight. So we don't wanna add too much of this. You need a very small amount of this concealer. So let's first start off with the under eyes. We're gonna just add a little bit there. And there, a little bit of a lift here, right? So this is for the under eye, for the dark circles there. This is for the lift on the side. We're going to do a little lift here. Just make sure it's symmetrical. I do want to just add a bit of brightness around this area. And then lastly, a little bit on the nose. I like to do a little dash there, and you can add a very small amount here underneath, and that gives you a little lift to the nose if you want it. So a little bit down here and here, so not a lot. They're just tiny dashes everywhere that we've done. Now I'm gonna get my Hollywood complexion brush again, but a different one so it doesn't have any dark color on it. We're gonna just blend this concealer here and here. Just these areas first, and then flip it over, keep it in the same place. There you go, just make sure there's not a lot of product there. So here, I'm gonna use the sponge for the under eye area, but everywhere else I wanna use the brush to really get that nice precision and that lift where I want it. Okay, so now for the rest, this area here, I can use a sponge. Now you wanna make sure it is damp. I like to use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray sometimes. Okay, so let's now start. We wanna take this on the under eye area. So it's kind of like here and there that we're working, right? Because I want a bit of brightness, but I also wanna cover these dark circles. But I also don't want to spread the concealer everywhere. There you go. See that? We've still got all of this coming through, but it's given us this really nice brightness through the center. Take it. It's like a little kind of corner that we're doing, really. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, at this point, you want to check, do you want more contour? Do you want more blush? Because this is the time to apply it. You don't want to apply any of this stuff on top of your foundation. I think I could get away with a tiny bit more blush, which I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a little dot there, a little dot there. Not as much as I first did. Just get that same brush. There you go. Because don't forget, we're applying foundation over this to lock all of this in. It's going to seal it all in. Okay, we can now move in with foundation. So you have two options here. One, you can use an actual foundation, or you could use a tinted moisturizer that you are 100% sure stays heat proof throughout the day. Now, I am going to probably use the foundation today, but I want you to know that you can use a tinted moisturizer on top of this. Now I'm going for full on like heat proof mode. That's why I'm using a foundation, and I'll explain why. It's not just because it's foundation, it's the specific foundation I'm using. But you can also use a tinted moisturizer. If you have quite, I would say, combination to dry skin, I think you can get away with using a tinted moisturizer. If you have combination to oily skin, I would recommend using this foundation that I'm going to be showing you. So if you were to use a tinted moisturizer, I would highly recommend the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blurred Matte. Now, if you're going to use a foundation like me today, I would highly recommend the Dior Forever No Transfer 24-hour foundation. It's such a good foundation. My shade is 4WO, which is 4 Warm Olive at the moment. So I'm going to get this on the back of my hand, but apply it sparingly. So make sure you do spray your sponge just to make sure it's nice and damp. And then you're going to grab a tiny bit of the foundation, buff it into the sponge. You don't want a lot of this because we want a very thin veil. We don't want to cover everything up. We want it to be a veil, so all of this underneath kind of peeks through. So we're going to start on the forehead. You should have buffed it so much into the sponge that when you apply it, you can't see a whole kind of like dollop of foundation. It's kind of just spreading evenly all over. See how we're just getting that really nice veil? Okay, then you're going to carry on down here. You're going to keep dragging a bit of foundation to the side of your hand, buffing it into the sponge and then bouncing it onto the face. And be particular in where you're have a method to it. You don't want it to all just go all random places. Just work your way down. And never drag, because otherwise you're going to move around everything underneath. What you want is for everything to peek through really nicely. This has to be one of the best foundations if you want your foundation to last all day. If you are going to be out and about in the heat and you want a flawless base, then this is literally the one for you. I have tried and tested this foundation in so many different scenarios, and it every time has shocked me. And the great thing is it doesn't end up looking super cakey and gunky like later on in the day. Like, your skin still looks fresh. It's got skin loving ingredients in there. So everything in there is really helping your skin to just be better and look better. Can you see how we can still see everything coming through? We can see that blush peeking through, even though it looked like we added so much. Really, it's about being very clever with the products that you use. You want a blush that is liquid formula, high pigment, but not thick and gunky. You want something which is going to really settle down and kind of melt into the skin, but not leave a glowy, greasy finish to your skin. You want it to just be high pigment, but a nice lightweight formula. Like, there is such a thing of getting like a lightweight formula which is high pigment, because I know normally what you feel like is high pigment means heavy, you know, and it doesn't have to be the case. Like, the good thing about the Rare Beauty liquid blush is it isn't a heavy product. The formula is really lightweight, but it's high impact. Okay, I'm really happy with that. I love how the sculpting is still coming through. Okay, so now we want to set this. So we've already got that veil of foundation, which is kind of sealing everything in. It's kind of locking in everything we did underneath. And everything is slowly peeking through. It's like the perfect amount. It's a soft focus finish. Now what we want to do is we want to set this. We want to lock this in now so that this doesn't go anywhere. This is where our setting powder comes in. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be using my Huda Beauty Easy Bake with my Makeup by Mario Master Pro Puff and a Real Technique setting brush, and then probably my veil brush from Hourglass. So what do we do here? First thing you want to do is make sure that you get rid of any creases, and what that means, anywhere that you usually crease, you are bound to get a bit of foundation or product settling in those lines or even skipping those lines. So what we want to do is make sure that there's kind of nothing in there and make sure it's all smoothed out nicely. Now my areas are under my eye, so like the creasing there, and also on the smile lines. Those are my two areas that really bug me, so I always make sure that it's nice and smooth before I apply my setting powder. So what I want to do is just get my sponge and just make sure there's nothing. I'm using the part where there's not much on it, and you want to make sure that you smooth over to just pick up any excess product. Now I'm going to go straight into my powder with my powder puff. I'm going to go in my hand like that, and then I'm going to just add my powder there. I'm going in my hand so that it doesn't like look all chunky on the under eye. Immediately, I'm going to get this and do the smile lines, and now quickly apply the powder everywhere else. I like to kind of do it in kind of similar way that we highlighted. My main focus is kind of the center of the face, but if you feel that you get kind of like, you know, you get makeup coming off in particular areas, just make sure you go all over then. Honestly, that's your best bet. So straight into the Real Techniques brush, and we're going to just dust away this powder from the under eyes. There's nothing on the brush, it's just you dusting away what you've applied. There. Heat-proof makeup does not mean that you have to bake. I don't agree with this whole baking thing, because I do feel like it ends up looking cakey. Hourglass veil brush. We're now going to just dust away all this powder. Now, I used to bake a little bit. I tried it for a little while. I really just felt like over time I realized that my face just ended up looking super cakey. There you go. And yeah, I just feel like even working on clients, it just ends up giving you the cakey finish. Like if you are happy with doing it and you have very oily skin and it works for you, amazing, go for it. But I don't feel like for the average everyday person, you have to do that. Okay, now at this point, we have basically completely sealed and locked in our base. This is not going anywhere. I just want to add very quickly that once you've done this step, you will look possibly a little bit powdery to yourself. You'll look a bit matte. It always looks a bit kind of, whoa, your makeup's just been done. A bit fresh, right? And not in a good way. I mean, like, as in it looks a little bit too powdery. That is normal. If you want heat-proof makeup, there are certain things you're going to have to go through and give it time and have a bit of patience. It doesn't mean it's going to stay like this, because what happens is you've just applied powder. It's freshly applied. Now, what's happening is your natural oils in your skin underneath have got to come through. So what you need is for those natural oils to come through, for this to look a little bit more lived in, a little bit more kind of like settled down. You know, it's not going to look so powdery. It takes a bit of time for your natural oils to come through. It's different for every person. If you have oily skin, it's going to be quicker. If you have dry skin, it's going to take a lot longer. If you feel that it usually settles down pretty quick and you're happy with that, leave it as it is. If you have dry skin and you know that it's going to just take forever for it to come through, like for it to look settled down, like your skin is going to look too powdery, then I would suggest getting a setting spray, something like the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless setting spray, and basically spraying that all over and letting it kind of settle. And that's going to help to get away, like take away the powdery finish, but it's also going to like let you stick to the whole technique. So your technique doesn't change, the finishing does, so that you don't look so powdery. So that's up to you. It's optional if you need to do that. Now, do you remember we actually set our brows? They're still so perfectly set. So we're just going to get on with those first. So I'm going to use my Urban Decay brow blade. I'm using the pen side first. This is Brunette Betty. And I'm just going to draw in some hair strokes. This is like an ultra thin brow pen. It's like super thin. And I just love how this stays in place. See how we've got that nice kind of like feathered brow? Okay, at this point, I want to flip it over and use the pencil side, but we're just going to let this settle down for a minute. So just let this settle down and then we're going to go in with the pencil. Meanwhile, I am going to add my Dior Lip Maximizer, which is in 001. And I just apply this as my kind of lip primer. It keeps my lips hydrated. I actually think I love it more for the hydration side than the plumping side. I see very subtle plumping, like not crazy amounts, but this is the only thing that I use that keeps, like I apply it once in the morning and it keeps my lips hydrated all day. I never have to take that around with me during the day if I'm out and about, because it's done. Once I've done it in the morning, it's done. Okay, let's get on with this. It's probably dried by now. And now this is where we're just kind of like, if we feel that we need to shape it a little bit, or add a bit more product in areas that we don't have any hair, that's where we add this. And like you can kind of like add more strokes with the pencil. It just kind of gives it more depth. There you go, I'm happy with that one. So I'm really pressing very lightly. It's not heavy at all. I think I'm happy with that. I think my brows are fine now. Brows are done. Now it's really a case of you finding out if you want to add any kind of highlight anywhere. You can do this. Now, obviously we've got a really nice kind of mattified like base, which will become slightly kind of like more radiant as we go through the day. You can feel there's something on my eye. It's up to you if you want to add more glow. If you do, you can, it's not a problem. I personally would go for something like this, which is the SURRATT Artistique liquid highlighter in Chi Chi, because it's currently my favorite again. I've used it in the past so many times and I just find it's such a nice, it's got a little sponge. So just the peaks of the cheekbone and just pat. There you go. It will blend in, but only if you pat. If you drag, it's gonna ruin everything. And the reason I recommend this one in particular is because this one sets really nicely on your skin. So it won't stay kind of like greasy or anything like that, or slide around. Once you've kind of like patted it in, you can even like put it on the back of your hand if you want, and then add it if you don't feel as confident in kind of adding it straight from the sponge. I was thinking I was doing so well today with no words sounding like coming out weird, and then I just had to. Yeah, this is the kind of highlighter that when you press it in and you leave it, it sets. It doesn't stay all greasy and doesn't slide around. So it's a really good option for heat-proof makeup. Now, I want to do my lipstick first because actually I don't know if I want to put any eye makeup on with this look. So, because I want to go for a bold lip. So let's now get a tissue, blot my lips because I had that kind of lip maximizer on. I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat Contour Duo in Tan, the dark side. This is a really easy way to keep your lip on all day. Make sure you're happy with your lip shape. This is definitely my current favorite lip. I just think this is a really nice lip for the summer. By the way, in between, I'm just gonna very quickly, because I forgot to do this, curl my lashes, because this is gonna give me a good indication as to whether I want any kind of eye makeup on. I might add like a mascara only, we'll see. I might not even add mascara. You're gonna flip it over, use the other side, and rather than line, feather in from the lip line. So that's gonna blend that harsh lip line for you. Now you're gonna blot. It gets rid of all the excess. You're gonna dust a little bit of setting powder on top, mainly the lip line. Now you're gonna add your lipstick. This is the Prada Monochrome Matte in 077. Then I just get my lip brush and just take it close to the lip line. Okay, I don't usually like the look of lipstick when it's freshly applied, so I always blot. And I feel like that gives me a better finish. If you want, you can go over just with a really light dusting of powder. And then I just kind of like clean up the edges. And that is your bold lip. I don't feel like you really need an eye whole look going on with this. I do feel that this is a really nice kind of color that you can wear with nothing on the eyes. The only thing I've done is curled my lashes. I've got no mascara on. If you're wondering why my lashes are long, which I think they kind of are, it's because of the Sweet Beauty Lash Serum. Amazing. I use it every night. You literally, it's a clear liquid, you just literally just apply it to your lash line and it's been amazing. Doesn't make your lash line go all red. It works so well. That's the only thing that's actually kept my lashes super long, so I don't need to get lash extensions or wear false lashes. Definitely a really nice color for summer, and I feel like it complements like tan or olive skin tones really well. It's just this really nice terracotta shade. So what do we think of this look? I don't think I'm going to apply any mascara because I do actually feel like this whole look on its own is pretty nice, and I do love that whole look of a bold lip and nothing on the eyes. I really do like it. I just feel like once you add eyeliner, it really does change the way that it looks. Not in a bad way. I do feel like it still looks really good, but I feel like this is a really nice summery look. Like if you want heat-proof makeup, you want a flawless base, a bold lip, good brows, and nothing on the eyes. I think there's just something about that look that is very chic. So let me know what you think If you want, you can go over with a setting spray like I mentioned, but I really do hope this goes to show that you can get heat-proof makeup that doesn't look crazy heavy and it isn't overly matte. I mean, look at the glow that we've added. It looks so good. It looks healthy. You've got the radiance, but equally, all of this is going to stay put all day. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell button, because those 3 things really help this channel out. And also, I do have an online publication called the Beauty Breakfast Club, where I have a beauty community that we're growing, and it's just full of so much joy and very nice people. Like, everyone's really nice, and we all chat on there and we share tips and tricks with one another, and people are sending their pictures of their makeup and I'm like telling them what I think. There are actually 2 versions. One is free, which gives you access to some of the site, not the group chat, and the other one is paid, which gives you access to the entire site plus the group chat, and that literally costs you just getting yourself a coffee a month. That's it. So hopefully I'll see you there so I can meet you finally and say hello and help you with your makeup issues. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video.